Hello again, Ian Stokey with Mastermind Games, going back into Monsterpocalypse again, and this time doing a building, the downtown high-rise. So this thing is pretty much a solid, almost fist-sized chunk of resin. So, Terran Khaki 09122. In fact, I'm going to use a really big brush for this. This is going to have one of the simplest color schemes I've done in quite some time, so... And I don't care that I'm missing the windows themselves right now, because those are going to get detailed in later anyway. Whoop. What I do not want to do, however, is get them plugged up with paint. Actually, this portion is going to be a different color, so I don't need to worry about it either right now. And this flat brush is well suited for this. Okay, so in a game of Monsterpocalypse, you are required to take at minimum 6 up to a maximum of 12 buildings. They're not part of your army, so they don't have a faction. But aside from using them to throw enemy monsters into for more damage, securing them with units can provide additional benefits. As well, including power dice. Or rather, the opportunity to get more power dice. Well, these little decks are going to be a different color anyway, so I don't necessarily need to get them now. Normally I shy away from brushes this big on models, but in this case it's actually the most practical, given the high surface area to cover. Now I'm going to need a little more paint. This is going to be pretty close to the package illustration, or rather a photograph, and that's because I couldn't think of anything better, really. Couldn't think of anything snazzier to do. This is the first building that is actually capable of healing that I've seen so far in the new version, as when a non-mechanical monster destroys it with, I believe, a brawl attack is what the card said, they heal 1 damage. So, convenient. Now, here's where it's going to get a little tricky. I'm just going to have to touch up the top once I finish. That's all there is to it. Okay, it's a pretty good base coat. I'll just set that down and just touch up the top really quick. Okay. Oh, I see a little bare spot there I want to get. Okay. Let that dry completely, and then I can do the next base coat. Okay. Cloudy Gray 09089. Making sure I'm in camera. Being much more meticulous in picking out these balconies than I was on the first coat, getting the bulk of the building. And the windows I'll get after shading. I may only do part of the windows on camera. You'll see why when I get to them. So, well, the resin buildings definitely look nicer than the, what was it, apartment complexes, the cardstock ones that came with the box set. Those cardstock ones are still very useful, I would say. Not just as starter buildings, but in general, just to get a no ability building on your opponent's side of the board to muck up any power bases they might want to build up. And just don't forget, resource denial can be a valuable strategy too. Okay. Let's take a quick look at the package. Okay. Just seeing how they did the doors. These are glass, and these slots are windows as well, looks like. So I will paint them as such. Okay. Now I can start shading. At least once that's dry anyway. Alright, khaki shadow to shade, that's 09121. I'm gonna have to do this in 2 phases. about half paint, half water. I don't care about getting the windows because those are going to get done separately. But I do want to make sure I get the trim in their frames. Keeping the brush nice and wet for this. And then this is something of an awkward grip, but okay. Okay, let that dry completely and then I can do the other half of the khaki. Okay, that's dried enough that I can finish the rest, but it's going to be an awkward grip. So that's this Terran, or this khaki shadow again. So, awkward grips all around. Not a whole lot I can do about that. Let's see. Okay. Checking on the bubbles on the opposite side. Let's blot that out a bit. Okay, now it's got to dry completely, and then I can do the gray, and then start the windows. Alright, 09088 Stormy Gray. This will go much more smoothly than the khaki. Mostly because I can get a much better grip on these. So, not that brush. This one. Okay. I just gotta make certain I'm in camera. Going top to bottom here. Probably do the very last bit of this mold, or the bottom of this molding here, very dead last. It's been a long day. I'm a little tired. Go ahead and get the frame around the doors now. I'm gonna do those doors themselves, those glass. Just making sure I didn't miss anything. It's been a long and strange day. Okay. Trying to make certain I'm still in camera. This is reminding me of a fun fact about New York's Empire State Building. It was built, I think, during the 1920s, but it has a Zeppelin dock at the top of it, because that was a thing when it was built. It's been out of use for years, but it's got one. Okay. That's good. Let that dry. Then do the windows and highlight. Okay, pure black 09037, time to start the windows. So on that note, to do this properly, I have to paint each window individually, and as you can see, there are a lot of them. So as not to bore you to death, I'm just going to do the front facing on camera and then just finish the rest off camera. So using a tiny brush. Let's try doing this as a bit of a wash. That might speed this up a bit. So a little bit of water to thin it out. Okay, this should work. So just a bit of water to thin it out. And filling each window in individually. And this is not the first, this is not going to be the last step on the windows either. I guess windows is a bit of a misnomer because it's for the glass in general, so the doors are glass as well. At least that's how I'm interpreting them, and technically not windows, but probably going to have to go shopping for new brushes soon. Some of these are getting a little beat up. Trying to make sure everyone's got a solid black in it, or at least solid enough to work with. Not even halfway done with this facing, it's already taken a while. Fortunately, I don't have to worry too much about this spilling over to areas I don't want it. Some of these may end up needing a second coat of the black. Actually, having them not completely black might help with what I'm going to be doing for the third step of these windows. But for now, okay, and I'll finish the rest of them off camera because this is already a 7-minute segment. Okay, well that took a while. Pure white 09039. Okay, so a teeny tiny brush. And again, I'm just going to do one facing here to the back this time. I'm just going to do a tiny. There's a little streak of white in each window. And again, since this is going to take a while, I'm just going to do the one facing on camera and do the rest off camera. This probably won't take as long as getting the black in the windows, but it's going to be time consuming and I don't want to bore you to death any more than I have to. I'll finish the rest of these off camera, but you get the idea. Well, that took a while. There's a couple hundred windows on this thing. So, 09016 Sapphire Blue. Gonna fill in the windows now. This is gonna be done as a wash. This nozzle's plugged up. Where is my paper clip? Okay, that's probably going to be enough, I think. But you get the gist of this with the hash marks in each window, on each door. This one combined with the, essentially doing this as a lighting effect, so this combined with this wash of the sapphire blue here should, if this works out like I think it will, give the impression of a glass window with light, with a shine in it. And I realized I could do this much quicker than I did the first time around with the black. So, do that. But again, I'm just going to get this one facing of it and call it good. And I do need a more solid layer of this in here. The problem with this is the brush will actually soak up some of the paint from the adjacent windows, so I kind of need to go a little overboard, just to a certain extent anyway. Okay, let that dry and see how we did. I'll get the rest off camera. Okay, highlights. Khaki Highlight 09123. So we're gonna start to see how the windows came out. Not too bad. Over 100 of these things. Probably closer to 200. Only did the loosest estimate of how many. So let's see what brush is best. Probably this one for the khaki. Again, dry brushing, so no water and just rubbing it out on a paper towel. And Lightly dusting. I think I was out of camera there for a while. Gonna need a little more paint, but I'm at least a little over halfway done with this color. Okay. Not forgetting about the top of it. And which one's going to be best? Probably this. And Misty Gray 09090 for the highlight on the gray. I'm going to start with these balconies before I hit the bottom here. All right, that's got it. Now all I have to do is glue it onto its base. So, since it sometimes takes a while, I just like with Shadowstone Syndicate stuff, been keeping the bases in a separate container. So there's the base and a cyanoacrylate glue, extra thick. Just a thin line on the bottom. And carefully center and hold for about 20 seconds. 1,002, 1,003. I'll let that dry. See a little bit of the khaki I can touch up here. Okay, it's better. Touch up here on the khaki because there's some blue here. All this sits. Okay. And that's got it. A downtown high-rise from Monsterpocalypse. Let's back that up a bit. So, got one more Monsterpocalypse model and then switching games. So, until next time, this is Ian Stuckey with Mastermind Games, signing out.